All right, welcome back to Launchpad TV. What is this, episode 5?
Episode 5.
Amazing. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. All right.
Good.
Got some folks joining on board. All right. Numbers are going up.
What do you think of our new set?
We've been fighting about this set for a long time. I said we looked like we were in a weird bunker, so we had to turn our desks around. This one, of course, wanted to have his desk in the prime spot, but we've compromised. We now have a good backdrop. There's a little bit of activity back there. Things are better. We are kind of in a weird bunker. Canoed, you were right about that. But
it's called a co-working space, Canoed.
Ever heard of it? Ever heard of it? I saw your co-working office one day. It was like a tea shop. But we'll learn more about that next week. We've got a good show lined up. You're on. We got to get this episode 5. You're supposed to say your name first.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ann. And this is Launchpad TV. So as we get started, we've got a great show for you today. But as we get started, we are pumped. I've got a PSA for parents. Obviously, Chris and I have a 16, 17-month-old, so we've got a ton of experience in terms of raising children and parenting at home. So you should definitely listen to our PSA. But basically, my PSA is anything is going to be okay. Anything you do. Whether you do schoolwork, whether you don't do schoolwork.
So it's not everything is going to be okay. It's not a message of reassurance.
No. It's anything is okay right now. I used to say good enough is great, but no, anything is okay. If you send your kid outside to the driveway and have them walk around the perimeter of that driveway 150 times before they get to watch screen time, that is okay. Even TV, not sure about those video games. I've heard some things. There's a video game out there that basically people get COVID. So no. Probably not the way for us to go. That's messy.
If anybody actually is familiar with that game, could you type in the chat? We heard that there's a video game out that kids are playing on their phone where they run. The goal of the game is they're running around coughing on each other.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
I mean, some developers making a lot of money.
I mean, now that's a fast follow though. Like if you think about fast fashion, right? It was always about like repeating the looks from Fashion Week and then getting them out into the store as Zara was great at it. That is a fast follow for you to be like,
I'm gonna pandemic into a video game.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. But one thing we did have a good idea, which was maybe take your kids back to simpler times. So download some old Family Ties episodes and maybe you can binge watch that. Just saying, might be something interesting. Well, we were talking about TV last night, which is a good intro to our poll. So as I get into this bit on TV, let's get the poll up there. Right. So I don't know, not everybody knows the whole story of our backgrounds, but I'll just give you you're going to get a little insight into Schultz and me. So basically, we had very similar upbringings. I grew up in a nice suburban community in Toronto, and Chris grew up in Africa. So obviously, a lot in common there. But one of the things that we were joking about is that our TV watching habits, as a result of those differing lifestyle choices of our parents, were very different. Chris's parents were in the Peace Corps. They were obviously in Africa. Then they moved to Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana. So they never really had a TV in their house, right? So when did you end up getting a TV?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade, or as we say in Canada, grade 5. Why did your dad finally break down and get a TV? Can you tell that story for us? I think everyone would love to hear it.
Well, I was going to school, and one of the things that people talk about would be, the collective, what did you watch the shows last night before we were in a, culture where you just stream things. You actually had appointment viewing. And
appointment viewing.
I got teased because I thought that Different Strokes was a show about swimming.
The best, the best. It's basically, if you can imagine, Chris Schultz as Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls. I mean, that's basically what we're talking about here, except for he didn't wear pink and join a girl gang and then be mean to others. But none of this. So that to me is just hysterical, especially when you put that into context of my TV viewing perspective, which consisted of all the TV that I could possibly consume. We had thousands of bootleg movies downstairs. Bootleg, that's right. My neighbor, a couple doors down, he had a guy who videotaped VHS tapes, and we would have like thousands of these VHS tapes with all kinds of movies. Falcon and the Snowman, Scarface, all these movies that even like at the time in the 80s for me were like old movies. So we had a ton of that. I also had this really healthy habit when we were at school, and so before I started
people
busing,
in the audience are asking what VHS is.
Oh. VHS.
Gotcha.
At least I didn't say Betamax. But that's actually how we got them onto VHS tapes, is some guy had a beta recorder and then a VHS recorder. He would get the beta tapes and then he would re-record that off the TV as he played it on the beta. I mean, like the height of technology here. So nonetheless, up until grade 2, I was able to come home for lunch because I bussed after that. And we would come home, no joke, and watch Leave It to Beaver from 12 to 12:30, and then at 12:30, The Young and the Restless would come on, and we would watch The Young and the Restless until 12:45, and then we would run back to school. And then we would get home at 3 o'clock, and we would watch General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and then we'd throw in a little I Dream of Jeannie around 5:30. My mother had no idea. So we consumed that. So we're looking forward to your answers on the poll. How many hours a day did you watch TV as a kid? And then how many hours of TV, Netflix, streaming, screen time, all the things are you letting your kids? So let's see how many of you parents out there are following in the footsteps of your own parents, or if you were different. Now, one last thing before we get on to the show. Was there anything as a kid that you feel like you missed out on in terms of TV? Was there a particular show that you wish that you could have watched, or like, obviously Different Strokes was embarrassing for you, but
I really, really wanted to watch the A-Team.
Yes. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, of course you want to watch the A-Team. Who wouldn't want to do that? All right, on with the show. Good catch up. So today we have a great show for you. We're highlighting some of our member magic. We're going to showcase the power of our platform through that. Chris is going to do a quick update on our latest resources. Unfortunately, Catherine wasn't going to be able to join us today. So for all of you, I'm sorry if you were going to do it. We have a great show anyway because we've got Meg Smidt, and she's going to be joining us from our Nashville location. She is not actually from Nashville, you're right, but she's the newest member of LP Nation. She's in St. Louis. But
we'll find out where she is right now.
Let's just wait and talk to her about that. Anyway, and then one of the resources that Chris is going to tell about is a very exciting webinar that we have all been invited to by our friends at the Economic Innovation Group. But before we get there, a little bit of member magic. Member magic. We always say our members are our magic, and they most certainly are. Not just us. Any co-working space is literally the place where magic comes to happen. You've got entrepreneurs, you've got people hanging out their shingles, you've got remote workers who need help with their community. And these are the places that people go who are the hustlers in our community. And they're usually also the first people to actually have an impact on the community and want to do something within the community. And that's actually why we think it's so magical. So today we're going to just highlight a couple of the members that are doing great stuff during COVID-19. In Nashville, I'm super pumped to highlight Denise Hicks. She works for Twistle, and they are an app that allows the health system to check in with patients virtually through the app and start to understand adverse health trends. So they've been highlighted, and we'll put the news stories there, but they're basically using this platform to monitor more than 700 presumptive positive COVID-19 patients and help keep patients at home and prevent additional stress on hospitals, emergency rooms, and frontline healthcare teams. How cool is that? All right.
Awesome.
Chris, you want to share with us a couple members from Newark?
Yeah, a couple things going on in Newark. These are bubbling up to us through our community managers. So thank you to Andrea in Newark for sharing these. And if you've got things going on, please share them with Ariel or your community manager. We want to be highlighting these things. A couple things going on. The Newark Public Library and Imagine Newark are hosting counseling calls for the general public and first responders. You can consider participating. We'll put up a link to that on the blog post after the show. Pastor Antoine Hart with the Freedom Church, who is a Launchpad member, is running a food drive tomorrow and Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. And so we'll put up details about how to participate in that. That's going to be distributing free groceries out to families in need in the Newark community. And that's hosted at Bethany Baptist Church. And again, we'll put up a link to that after the show.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see. All these community resources are coming together. We had dinner last night from a really cool restaurant in Healdsburg. And that dinner, part of the proceeds from that is actually going to the food bank. And they're providing meals to that. And it's just great to be able to see this kind of creativity. Something that I've been hearing about, and I'm pumped to highlight this one, which is our very own Betsy Smith from New Orleans. Fun fact, Betsy was originally on the Launchpad team and graduated to be leading the New Orleans chapter of Beatty's Distillers in New Orleans. And now Beatty's, like many distillers out there, are actually helping to make hand sanitizer instead of vodka. And so they're doing that out of their factory in Alliston, Ontario, Canada, fellow Canadian. And I think it's a great example of that. In fact, our local distiller, Young and Yonder, is doing a similar thing here.
That's awesome.
I know. And they're really kind of cool because you get the packaging of the alcohol, but yet the functionality of the hand sanitizer.
Can you drink it?
You cannot drink it.
Oh.
It would be terrible. Although I bet if you did it with aloe, it'd be like one of those fancy aloe drinks that also works as hand sanitizer. But nonetheless, Betsy, great to see your name here on our list, and great work for everybody who's doing things in their community. If you've got a resource or you're doing something in your community that you want to get out there and to share with Launchpad Nation, please, again, send it to the fabulous Ariel Berenger. Ariel, A-R-I-E-L, @lp.co. It's in the chat window.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to segment 3, resources.
Okay.
Chris, you're up.
Screen sharing here.
Well, he's pulling that up. As we said, Catherine Lyons couldn't join today, but she's working on getting answers to all the questions from Tuesday, some additional questions that we asked, and she'll come on back next week.
Yeah. So we wanted to clarify and offer some answers to some of the questions that were coming out of last, I was going to say last week's episode, out of Tuesday's episode with Catherine. There's a number of things, and we're going to put these up in blog posts after the show around the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP. And specifically around, who qualifies for this. sole proprietors, independent contractors, and employees. W-2 employees are the most obvious that they do qualify for this. One of the things that we're learning is that sole proprietors and independent contractors will get to apply on their own, and there's a different application timeline. So the application timeline for businesses begins tomorrow, which is April 3rd. Independent and self-employed individuals will be able to apply on April 10th. So there is a provision here to cover independent contractors and self-employed. That program is coming a little bit later. Stay tuned. We'll include as much as we can in this show about that. But wanted to highlight that. I also want to highlight some new programs. We're keeping a running list of these on the Launchpad blog. So some of the programs, so we're seeing states begin to get into the action. So the city of Newark had a grant application program. Louisiana has followed suit. And so there's a state-led program now. This is separate from the SBA. So my assumption would be you can apply for both, but up to $100,000. For small businesses in Louisiana. Also, if you're in New Orleans, there's a rental assistance program that has begun already. So $500,000 towards individuals who need rental assistance. And I think that's what I've got as far as additional resources right now.
Want to tell them what you're doing with the format?
What do you mean the format?
For these resources? Are you going to share it?
I did, yeah, in a blog post, yeah. Yeah.
Did I tune out for a second?
Yeah. In a blog post following the show, Alec, who's helping us with that, is putting up a blog post following the show, and we'll have the resources in there. Okay, so, and coming up,
woo!
Let's get our, I'm going to stop.
We got our guest, guys.
Bring Meg on live. Let's find her and promote her to a panelist. There she is.
She is.
All right, she's a panelist. It's funny, we have to allow her to talk. Ask to start video. Okay.
Hey, Meg, can you start your video? Yay! Welcome! We can't hear you yet, Meg. That's on her side. What a bummer. Well, while we're getting started and Meg's figuring out her sound, Arielle, you can probably help her. Meg is from the Women's Creative, and it was founded from a growing movement of women-owned small businesses in St. Louis who were looking for spaces to welcome them, sell their products, and connect with the community. They host regular pop-ups, launch their membership community, The Collective, and host networking mingles. And they have so much more up their sleeves, and we're gonna hear all about that today. Meg, how's that going?
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
All right.
All right.
I'm literally on Zoom like 8 hours a day, and I have no idea why that didn't work right now, but it's fine.
All right.
All right, well, we got you now.
Yes.
So we were connected. You were going to be doing an event at our Nashville location, but
yes.
I'm assuming you're maybe not in Nashville and you're in St. Louis. Tell us a little bit about yourself and let's get to know
and all the things, right? Yeah. So I am currently in St. Louis. I do live in St. Louis, and that is where the Women's Creative is. And basically, I have been a life and small business coach for the past 10 years. Your coach, Meg, is my coaching business. And then for the Women's Creative, we actually started off by coordinating pop-up marketplaces for female entrepreneurs and female business owners. And then from there, we created a membership community called The Collective that basically helps female brands build their business. in all types of industries, all types of niches, and you name it. And so we were actually, we had scheduled to go to Launchpad in Nashville to do this time management for overwhelmed creatives workshop later this month. But as we know, that's not happening, but we still are offering that workshop for like live streamed. And so that's going to be this next Thursday night. There's going to be like an online mingle from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 9 p.m. Central is going to be the workshop.
Wow.
Okay.
And what can people expect from this workshop? Help us understand why would I want to go?
Oh my goodness. Well, I will tell you, the fact that I am a life and small business coach, literally day after day after day, the past couple of weeks, the thing I've been hearing nonstop from so many of my clients and the small businesses that I work with is like, I don't know what to do with myself right now. Like, yes, we're all pivoting our businesses, but we're all doing this in a different environment. All of our lives have changed. Right? I mean, most of us, let's say. And so we're working in environments that we probably weren't working in before. I know here in St. Louis, I had a co-working space that I worked from every day. And now I'm sharing my working from home with my husband, who's also working from home, and our dogs, and, right? So, so it's challenging. And it has been challenging for a lot of people to know how to manage our time in the middle of all of this. And not only that, but sometimes, you know, typically creative type entrepreneurs struggle with, you know, with knowing how to spend their time anyway, especially if they're new at having their own business or, you know, jumping out of that 9-to-5 world. So this workshop basically is to help anyone who struggles with how to manage their minutes at this time, to really get a handle on that and really move forward, feeling really great about how you're spending that resource of time every day.
All right, Meg, I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Top 3 things you can do to manage your time better.
Oh, you are so my people. I love this. Okay. First thing, do not use your phone as a timer if you are scheduling your time like in time blocks. Okay.
Whoa,
do not use your phone.
One? That was your number one.
This is my number one because that phone is going to distract you. Get a kitchen timer, which you probably have, or any sort of a timer that has nothing to do with your phone, because this will keep you distracted all day long.
Analog timer.
Yes.
Love it.
First. Second, and when I do this work, that works.
You can get your kid to be your timer.
They love it. Yes. Now, all my kids are big now, but when they were younger, absolutely. Yes. All my kids are like big old boring adults now. So, so I've been through this. Yes. Okay. Second thing on my list of what to do to impact your time is to actually do a big brain dump list of how you actually want to be spending your time right now, inside your business and outside your business. Okay. If you don't have a clear vision of what that is, you're probably going to end up watching Tiger King all night long and will not feel good about that later. I promise you. So, so you definitely want to, and maybe with other people in your household, do that together. You know, that's something that's great to do with your kids, is to sit down and be like, okay, guys, how do we want to use this resource of time that we have right now? What are our priorities going to be? And then from there, you can ink that time in. Okay.
That's good. So figure out what you, 1, analog timing. 2, figure out what you want to spend your time on, not spend your time on whatever wants you.
Yes. And then the third thing would be to actually make that commitment to your schedule, to your time, to your business. Okay, we all have the same resources: time, money, energy, and talent. Okay, and if you have a business and you are not committing to your business, even if it's 6 hours a week that you're giving your business, commit to that 6 hours and schedule that in so it stays a priority, or you're going to get out of this time and be like, what did I just do? I just wasted all this time doing things that aren't even important to me. So whatever you decide that those priorities are, put time frames, like put units of time around that, whether that's 20 hours a week, I'm going to do this, 5 hours a week, I'm going to do this, and actually make that commitment. And if there are other people in your business or your household or whatever, that you can hold each other accountable to that in a really kind and loving way, that would be great as well.
Are you pointing at me?
No.
When I
Because I'm always the kind one.
Lean across the desk and say, so what are you doing today?
Bye. Boom.
And I will tell you, kids make great accountability partners, because they will tell you. If you tell them to hold you accountable to something, you better believe they're going to hold you, whether you want to or want it or not, they're going to hold you accountable to it.
That's great.
Yeah, Meg, I feel like we've been through this, and maybe you're experiencing this a little bit right now, and maybe you're kind of coming out of it. But this is such a time of uncertainty, crisis for many people, many businesses, health crisis, for loved ones and families. So as much as some people might have time to sort of Netflix and chill right now, I feel like we've experienced, and maybe some of our members in the audience are experiencing, like a feeling of being frozen, right? I'm just like stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to prioritize. I'm kind of freaked out. Any advice for people who, like, thinking strategically right now is difficult, right? I'm sort of managing, like, hitting balls out of my inbox as they're coming in, but I'm not able to get outside of that right now.
Absolutely. It's basically the only things we can control are what we can control, right? What's right in front of us. So if you need to say that to yourself all day long, number one, do that. Next, what it comes down to is really allowing yourself some space in the schedule and in your day and everything to really think outside the box a little bit and get out of your own head. If it's just you in your business, phone a friend, get on Zoom, call me, call somebody, to get out of your own head, to start thinking about outside the box for collaboration, for anything that you can do, to think about how you could do this, just the smallest pivot that can really make a big difference for the right now, since we can't really plan ahead too much. I mean, all of our goals for the year are kind of out the window at this point, right? We're kind of making some new goals, and that's okay. But the problem is, when we do get petrified and terrified, we either are going to fight or flight, right? We're either going to cocoon and want to put our covers over our head and do nothing, or we're going to, like, panic and be frantic, trying to, like, jump at anything that comes our way. Neither one of those things are necessary right now. What is necessary is to talk to other people who are safe about your business, get some ideas flowing, get some collaborations going, get outside your own head so that you can start moving forward with something that makes sense in the current environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And especially, when you think about folks who work in co-working spaces, a lot of our members and customers, I think there's intrinsic value that comes there that they don't realize, which is just those interactions that happen, and the ability to sort of step out of that space. And I think we were even doing this as part of the business. I think over the last 3 weeks, the first week was like full on crisis mode. What's going to happen? Where are we going? Like, our whole life's work is out the window.
Just staying alive. Right?
Staying alive, literally, right? And then the next week was like, okay, we can breathe. Let's be proactive and start to think about our business, and let's start to think about the immediate term. Let's start to think about our customers, our partners, all of those things. And then now this week, what's been interesting for us is we've started to see our community managers doing those sort of informal meetups, connecting with different members in the community. But we are tasking ourselves, or trying to task ourselves, And again, it's always a balance, right? Which is you still got to keep the lights on, but at the same time, like this is a time for us to do some of those things that we've been dying.
Absolutely.
And like LPTV is a perfect example of that. We've been dying to create more virtual ways for the network to actually come together. Right. We're doing it. So, I think that's a good message, which is, I love your message around identify what you actually want to work on. And
that's where the priorities come in that I talked about in those top 3 things. So once you, and you can do that separately for, your personal life and for your business life, but you want to take a look at that and think like, okay, so these are my priorities right now for my business. Maybe it is catching up on, things, learning new programs or something that I've been trying to put in place, putting a system together for this with my business, whatever. Maybe that's part of it. And maybe you're going to give that 5 hours a week. But if you don't give it a certain amount of time and you don't schedule it in, it's likely that's not going to happen.
Yep. Makes sense. Okay. So
I had one more quick question. Here, it sounds like you specifically work with creatives, or that's one of your areas of focus. A time like this, I think, is an opportunity to actually draw inspiration, whether it's, from, crisis or disaster or struggle. Sometimes those are sort of the most creative times for people, and sometimes, creativity in art, music, business is a form of kind of healing and processing and working through it. What would you say in terms of, if you're trying to sort of find yourself, if you're trying to inspire yourself to either keep on keeping on, or do something new, or achieve something new, or really get out there, how do you draw on that during a time where things feel so uncertain and sort of heavy right now?
Absolutely. I think I understand your question, and if not, I'll be talking about something.
I can explain it for you if you want.
I think I got it. But so I will tell you, as a life coach, I mean, I love you guys. You guys are great. You remind me a lot of me and my husband. It's awesome. So
are you guys did you make it? You made it through kids? Okay, we've got hope.
Yeah, our kid, we have 5 kids. Our youngest is 22, our oldest is 28, and we have a grandbaby. So yes, there is life after that. Now I know I lost you right there. I know I've completely lost everyone. But to go back to your question, I will say, as a life coach, I don't watch what other life coaches are doing. It doesn't matter to me. I care about what other creative business people are doing. That's where I get inspired. And that's where I think outside the box with my own business. And that's where I'm not doing what everyone else is doing, right? So my clients include brick and mortars. They include therapists and online, e-commerce business owners, you name it. I literally have clients of like every single industry, million dollar businesses down to like just starting up a first startup thing. But everyone's in the same boat right now of not giving themselves what they need to be fueled creatively, to be able to pivot and do this. So the best advice I can give for that is to seriously protect time just for you to do things that fill you up, whatever that is. There are so many great museums and like you name it that are offering these free online everything right now. Do it. Sign up for Skillshare and do like
go to a museum. I was gonna.
I do not endorse that. Yeah. No, but they're all offering these free online things. Skillshare. Learn a new something. I promise you it's going to impact your business in a positive way no matter what field you are in.
Yeah. Meg, that's an interesting point, because I think one of the challenges, and Chris talked about it, which was healing art and creativity is a healing activity.
Yeah.
And the challenge we have right now is we are in a pandemic and we have a lot of anxiety collectively, and we're not actually at that healing stage. And
we need to grieve.
To Chris's grief,
right.
and that feeling of anxiety and frozenness.
Yeah.
And so your idea around learn something or do something, or you're consuming, you don't yet have to create. Consume now so that you can replenish your store.
It'll come into
and
everything.
Find your inspiration, but don't feel pressure to be creative yet. Get yourself ready for when the time, when the creative juice.
Basically, what's happening right now is we're all grieving. We're all going through a transition. Okay. And anytime you go through a transition, it's change, right? And it could be good change. It can also be not so good change. But in any case, it's hard because anytime you have change, it's uncomfortable. You're going into a new something, even if that something is even great. Okay. And you have got to grieve what you just left. And when you're on your path to your thing, you're going to. So please give yourself the space to do that. Give your kids the space to do that. Yeah. Meet everyone around you with that grace of knowing we are all going through this same yuck right now together. And some of us are better equipped to deal with it than others. But the more that we can give ourselves what we need, the more that we're going to be able to give out what people need from us. Okay. So the more that we are giving ourselves what we need in this time, no matter who we are, no matter what industry we're in, the better off our clients, our neighbors, our kids, everyone is going to be from it.
All
so
right.
protect that time 1,000%. Yes. Yeah.
All right. We learned a lot today, and we will summarize those key lessons on the blog when we showcase our show. And people should totally tune in to your Thursday meetup. That is going to be awesome.
Can you just give another quick shout out, and we'll include it in the blog just so people know where to tune in?
Sure. So I lead a membership community through the Women's Creative called The Collective. And we actually it's similar to what you do without a co-working space. So anyone across the country who's a female entrepreneur, female business owner, female brand can join and have access to tons of business building workshops and a network of women that they can build their businesses with in all different industries. Okay. So April 9th from 6 to 7, we're having a mingle where everyone's just going to get to know each other through Zoom, or it's actually through Vimeo. And then from 7 to 9, I'm doing a workshop all about time management, especially during right now with all the current struggles and everything. A live stream ticket's only $15. It's a great investment into you, into your business and brand. And I just can't wait to see everybody. So much fun. We do these workshops like once a month, all different themes every single month.
All right.
Awesome. All right.
Well, for your next workshop, I'm going to be coming to you to get a limited number of tickets that our network can sign up for, and we'll raffle them off for free.
Love it.
That's a great idea.
But
beautiful. They
have to do something to get it. It's not, you don't get any, you don't get something for nothing.
Beautiful. Well, you guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Meg. We'll let you go. Again, information will be up on the blog afterwards. And thanks so much for being here with us.
Thanks, Meg.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. Bye. You want to hit that question?
Okay. So let me just, Trent had a question on the SBA stuff. I want to come back to that as we sort of wrap up today's show here. Your question is getting to the crux of it. How do owners account for an owner draw on the PPP application? I've literally been emailing with Catherine, our accountant, various SBA bankers all morning trying to get clarity to this because so many companies pay themselves that way. It's totally a normal way for owners to be paid. That's actually the way Ann and I pay ourselves. And right now, it doesn't look like that qualifies on the PPP. That's the word I'm getting from our accountant, but I'm gonna kind of keep being persistent on this, because I think it's so critical, paying ourselves as business owners, and people who have, businesses large and small, whether you're a sole proprietor or not. Now, that is for the application that is available tomorrow, April 3rd. It potentially may be for sole proprietors. That's the way you're going to pay yourself for the application that's going to open up April 10th. So I'm going to keep working on that, Trent, and both looking for clarity, but also advocating for the small business owners that are small businesses, meaning sole proprietorship. So you've got a couple of employees, but you got to be able to pay yourself, right? That's a critical part of this. I also want to, one of the questions on the poll today was was about if you have an SBA banker. We've been sort of talking about this on Twitter and social media a little bit right now. I hope that anybody who's watching this does have a banker. That's sort of the best position to be in. The comment I made on social media was, many of us with the small businesses are the relevancy of having a banker, right? We have tellers and we have ATMs, but we don't actually have bankers that help us, because most small businesses don't qualify for loans. And so what good is kind of having a banker? So what's going to happen tomorrow is SBA bankers are going to focus on their existing clients. Hopefully you're one of them and you have the ability to apply, but they no doubt are going to be prioritizing their existing banking relationships. What that means is for Launchpad members, we're going to take on a responsibility to try to identify SBA bankers in our markets. These are going to be market relationships. So in New Orleans, Nashville, Newark, Memphis, Stockton, that are willing to take on new businesses, are willing to support through this process. There's definitely a concern that the funds that have been allocated, the $350 billion, are going to go very quickly. Word we're getting is that Congress is ready to up that cap if it goes past. So hopefully, it's not just a speed thing, but we're going to work through your community managers to help create banking relationships for you if you don't have them, because we know how critical this is to your businesses. Ariel just added a question here, or a comment here about the EIG seminar tomorrow. EIG, who Catherine Lyons, who was on Tuesday, works for, is doing a seminar that's open to the public. If we have a link, we can put it in the chat. I don't have it right now.
There it is.
There it is. Thank you, Ariel.
You need to register.
We also will be posting that to the blog as well. But that's a great place to go with some of these questions. EIG is a advocacy lobbying firm based in DC. Your questions are going to go right into their advocacy work. So I encourage you to join that and bring these same questions.
Yeah, and for those of you who are feeling a little maybe disconnected or need a break from your new coworkers at home, Ariel's also posted some of the meetup activities that we're doing. So our community managers are hosting virtual catch-ups and meetups throughout the week. The hours are there. Tomorrow, Maddie's going to be having a happy hour, but everyone's got a great program scheduled for the week, and are planning different initiatives and programs and events for people to participate. And I know I'm about to tee it up, but we've got, well, why would I steal your thunder? Because I always steal the thunder, but go ahead.
No, you go
We
ahead.
got something exciting for next week. So Tuesday and Thursday we'll be back for LPTV. We have Canoed coming in for one of our member segments, but we also will have great resources, and we're working on some other fantastic folks who are right in the midst of the COVID crisis. But on Wednesday, we decided that we would do something a little bit fun, and we're going to call it
Wind Down Wednesday.
Wind Down Wednesday, because why not? So we are here in the midst of wine country, and we have asked our good friend and fellow small business owner, Megan,
Megan Glad.
Megan Glad from Rhyme Cellars. They're one of our favorite wineries. You don't have to have Rhyme wine to participate in Wind Down Wednesday. It's going to be something that is both educational, informative, entertaining, chance to drink some wine.
And accessible. You don't have to be a wine connoisseur.
No,
it's not going to be a snooty, hoity-toity tasting event.
Maybe it will be.
But you'll learn something.
I don't think it will be hoity-toity. I guess that's when you think of wine events. Hoity-toity. Anyway, more on the topic, and we'll promote that next week on what we're actually going to be doing. We're working with her on the program. But she is excited to come and share her knowledge with you guys.
Okay. All right. Well, another episode down. Thanks to everybody for joining today. Keep sending ideas, updates, guest potentials to Ariel, ariel@lp.co. We're going to keep this rolling.
Of course, your feedback.
If
you like the new set, let us know so that I can win the bet. Feedback welcome. Always the positive stuff encouraged, but critical feedback's also accepted. May not be considered.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you guys next week.